Sometimes I think we need new stories. We start this Lenten period with the story of Noah and the Ark in Genesis. This story has been interpreted so many times as a period of suffering for us. And perhaps there's a different way to look at it. But so many times it's difficult to look at an old story in a new way. So today I'm going to offer you kind of a new story to help you see how possibly the story of Noah can be seen in a different way. There was one summer when my family was really into water skiing. And my brother, Big John, was very heavy, and the boats that my father and my Uncle Bud had, neither one of them were able to get up enough speed to get Big John out of the water. So my dad and my uncle had this brilliant idea that the only thing that was keeping John from skiing was they just couldn't get up to skiing speed while he was in the water. My father had a closed bow boat, and my uncle had a fishing boat. They both had the same size motors on their boat. So they decided that they'd put Big John with his skis on, sitting on the front of the bow of my father's boat, and Uncle Bud's boat would pull him. So they did that, and they're going out, and my big brother John is sitting on the bow of the boat, and Uncle Bud's boat is going faster, and my father is following them, and they make sure that they keep the ski line as taut as they can, so that there won't be a big jerk. And when they get up to about 20 miles an hour over the water, Uncle Bud signals, and my father stops his boat. And Big John glides off the bow of the boat, thinking that now they're at top speed, Big John will just stay on top of the water and be able to ski. And it's a good idea in theory. It seems like it would work. But what actually happened was when Big John slid off the boat, it was like putting immense braking power on Uncle Bud's boat. And no matter how much my father slowed down his boat, it was like a huge acceleration. Immediately, Big John went underwater because the boat had slowed so much it couldn't pull him up. And my father's boat basically drove over my brother Big John. And I remember him telling about how he saw the prop of Dad's boat go by his ear. So we were very lucky that nobody was hurt, that the experiment just didn't work, but that possibility of how it could have hurt really shook up Dad and Uncle Bud, and I remember them sitting on the dock and shaking their heads and saying to each other, why in the world did we think that could work? Everyone was pretty shook up, but in a few minutes, my dad put his hand on Uncle Bud's shoulder and said, well, we'll never do that again. To which my Uncle Bud agreed, and they got up and went to load up the boats to go home. Now, they did give up something. They gave up ever trying a crazy plan to pull John up, and they started moving forward. Did they give up boating and sell their boats? No. No, they still used their boats for fishing and for riding across the lake. They still water skied. They just knew that they couldn't get Big John up at his present weight. Now, Big John, did he give up skiing? Yes, but he had a forward-moving idea that if he really wanted to water ski, perhaps he needed to lose some weight. You see, we have to look at Lent as a moving forward. In the Noah story, we recognize where God has admitted that flooding the world did not solve the problem, that sin still survived on the ark, that it was something that was part of us, that was part of that gift that God had given to us of having free will. So God promised that there would never be another flood like that he would never destroy the world. He would never do that again. Just like my father said, well, we'll never do this again. God said, well, I won't do this again. And the promise of that, God gave a sign. The sign was the rainbow that was in the sky. This is a sign of forward thinking. Just like my father and Uncle Bud went forward from that. They learned from it. They went forward from that. And so I think we should think of Lent not as a time of suffering, of giving up something, but a time to start moving forward. perhaps we don't really give up, but we give ourselves to God. Even during the period that Jesus fasted, the whole reason for the fasting was to have a closer relationship with God. I don't think Jesus thought of it as suffering or as giving up everything, but it was his intent to be closer to God. It was a moving forward, not a suffering. So during this time of Lent, I think we'd be more successful if we made a promise to move forward in our relationship with God. And during this period of Lent, we should focus on our relationship with God and how we can make that better. Perhaps that includes working toward having healthier habits. And if having healthier habits means to quit smoking, then we work on that. But we work on that not as a giving up, but as a moving forward to be healthier. Healthier picture might be just a reduction in the amount that a person is smoking until they can finally completely give up that habit. Moving forward might be watching our diet, making sure that we eat better. Moving forward means maybe we spend a little more time in meditation, in listening for God, trying to make our relationship better with God. You know, whenever you see a rainbow, it's always ahead of you, and you can never catch up to it. But it encourages one to move forward, to get closer to that promise of God. So during this period of Lent, I don't encourage you to give up something or to suffer, but I do encourage you to think how you can move closer to God. Open roads.
That's how we walk strong, that's how we walk tall, that's how we walk with God. That's how we walk strong, that's how we walk tall, that's how we walk with God and never fall. Doing what's right, telling the truth, keeping all our promises, helping the poor, loving the world, being kind to everyone. That's how we walk strong, that's how we walk tall, that's how we walk with God. That's how we walk strong, that's how we walk tall, that's how we walk with God and never fall. Doing what's right, telling the truth, keeping all our promises, helping the poor, loving the world, being kind to everyone. Well, that's how we walk strong, that's how we walk tall, that's how we walk with God. That's how we walk strong, that's how we walk tall, that's how we walk with God and never fall. That's how we